I'm not sure if any of you all have heard it yet, but some air traffic control audio just leaked of an Air Force pilot claiming that they saw a UFO, and this UFO flew right under their wing. Now, this audio is from September 17th of 2024, but it's just now leaking online, and there's a lot of people reacting to it, and we're going to listen to the audio in just a moment. But first, I want to point something out, because there's a reason why you're hearing talks of UFOs on the news nowadays. What we're witnessing, and what we have been witnessing for over a year now, is a slow media rollout of information about UFOs that is meant to mentally kind of prepare people for something that is going to happen in the future. I'm not sure what that something is. Maybe it will be full disclosure. Maybe it will be something else. I know you're already in the comments typing Project Bluebeam. They're preparing the general public for something. I mean, even all the information that is coming out, all of these people who are coming out as whistleblowers, most of them aren't really what I would call whistleblowers. Even this audio that leaked, I don't know if it really leaked or if this is just something that our government wants us to hear, okay? A lot of the top secret information that is being revealed, it's not being revealed because people are going against the government to reveal it. No, most of this stuff is being approved, regardless if you realize it or I realize it or not. And the same thing probably goes with this audio, because it is evidently clear at this point that this is all just a slow media rollout of pre-approved information that they want the public to know. This is not information that they don't want the public to know. They've been hiding stuff for years. They can continue to hide stuff if they want to. No, they're letting this information come out now for a reason. And a lot of this information isn't necessarily new information. It's information that conspiracy theorists have been talking about for years. But they're slowly, it's like a slow drip of a faucet. Every few days, they're going to slowly release this information. It's going to build up. People are going to be used to hearing about UFOs and all of this other stuff. And then, eventually, something's going to happen. And that something is going to be what they've been preparing us for with this slow drip of information. But before I go any further, because I can go all day, let's go ahead and roll this clip. Let's listen to the audio. Let's listen to someone, an expert, if you will, react to the audio. And then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
What you're about to hear is the voices of the pilot and air traffic controllers, and it's set to computer animation. Take a look.
LA Center, Troy 2-1.
Troy 2-1, go ahead.
It's not weird, but I just had something pass underneath my wing, maybe like a football-sized object right underneath our wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Do you think it was a drone or?
I have no idea. I got my sensor operator looking for it on the camera right now. We'll see if we can find it. But it's like a dark gray cylindrical object, and it was probably the size of a football, and it passed maybe 10 feet under our right wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Thank you for the report. Keep me advised if you find anything else out.
Yeah, we'll do. We're looking for it now. And okay, correction. LA Center, Troy 2-1. We got something on air-to-air radar. We're trying to get visual on it.
Troy 2-1, Roger.
And LA Center 094, bearing from us for about 60 miles is where it is now.
Troy 2-1, say again.
094 bearing from us, about 60 miles away is where we're picking it up now.
LA 15, Oakland.
Troy 2-1, Roger, thank you.
All right, this guy was stopped at 14 for him because we were busy. There was some UFO reported here, but that's all taken care of now, so you don't have to worry about it unless you want to talk to Aaron. It was earlier, but it's gone.
I may not have to worry about it, but I am plenty worried about it. This is where I call in Ben Hansen to help me make heads or tails of this. Ben is a former FBI special agent and host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus. He managed to secure that recording that you just heard because it was not made available to the public. Ben, what is your take?
This is a really interesting case. It was actually the air traffic controller who reported it to the National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC. So NUFORC is actually cited in the FAA regs as one of the places where pilots can go to make reports. So first, we want to thank the controller for reporting it, and also for the pilots. This was a Homeland Security flight, actually. So they were on, I don't want to say covert, but they were on a mission, probably doing drug interdiction or something like that. And they're flying along and they see this thing. So very experienced pilots. Now, this particular aircraft, too, is a Beechcraft 350C, which they've converted to include a very sensitive and complex radar array. So you see that dome on the top of it. It's actually there to track, drug traffickers and things like that. So when they call this thing in, this is about 2:30 in the afternoon. It's September 17th of last year. It's broad daylight. They got a good look at this thing, cylindrical, dark object that passes underneath their wings so close. So, I mean, obviously you can see there's big problems with that happening in controlled airspace like they were, and they weren't notified of any air traffic that was supposed to be in the area.
So the animation, by the way, it's so realistic, I was caught off guard. Was that sort of made with the help of those who witnessed it so that it's as accurate as it can be?
Well, in this case, my team has not spoken with the crew, as you can imagine, because the sensitivity of probably what they were doing on this mission, it wouldn't benefit them to come forward to talk to the public quite yet. We'd encourage it, yes, but this was our rendering of just based on the audio that we had. It's a guess, right? That object could have gone underneath from left to right, forward to back. We don't know, but we do know their description is pretty exact.
I'm also sort of gobsmacked by 20,000 feet because I don't think that ground-controlled, unmanned flights can operate at that altitude. Call me crazy. I think at one point they asked if it was a drone. What's the word on the possibility of some kind of a drone activity?
So it could be. It'd be very rare, but hobby drones can go up that high. Obviously, military can as well. This occurred near what we call military operations area, but it was not in that airspace. So anyone who was flying something to test a commercial type of drone or something would have had to call in. Now, the other thing that's very interesting about this is you hear them call out what they believe they're tracking this object about 60 miles away because they've got their own airborne radar. And the pilot calls back to air traffic control, says, we think we have it. Now, debatable whether their radar array could see something this small at 60 miles. But if true, within the 2 minutes when they called back, that would place this object going about Mach 2. Okay, from them to gain that much distance in that amount of time. So that would absolutely, in my opinion, eliminate any prosaic explanation of a drone or anything of that nature.
Now, this close encounter has several similarities to a former NASA astronaut, Leroy Chiao's reported sighting of two metallic orbs that he saw while flying his personal plane over the Texas Panhandle last summer. Chiao claims that the two objects passed roughly 10 feet under his wings. They showed no visible means of propulsion and were unlike anything the three-time spacegoer had ever witnessed. There was nothing around me other than the Panhandle of Texas at 9,000 feet on this instrument flight plan, and just suddenly these things appeared and they came right at me, he claims. The retired astronaut said that he was reminded of the Pentagon's report of a small object flying through controlled airspace in Iraq, which was caught on radar footage and shared to the public in 2023. That was my first thought, that this must be some secret military program, but what the hell are they doing flying it where airplanes are operating, especially under instrument flight rules? Why wouldn't they be in military airspace, he asked. So, I mean, there's obviously a big mystery here. And it's crazy how the way we view UFOs and the way we think of UFOs, it has changed drastically over recent years. You know, we used to hear the talks of flying saucers, right? Does anyone remember flying saucers anymore? It's like you don't hear about that anymore. You only hear about the orbs. You only hear about these little balls. Sorry, I'm kind of immature. Little balls, sorry. But you only hear about like these little orbs, these little balls that are flying around at incredible speeds. Some of them, like, you know, the size of like a football, very small. Smaller than you would think a living creature could fit in. And then you have to ask, well, what are these things? Where are they coming from? They're flying at speeds that our drones can't fly. And of course, everyone always brings up, well, it must be, maybe it's the military doing this. They're training with this. They're testing this. And I'm kind of over that. Yeah, I'm aware that the military has technology that we're unaware of. I'm sure they're reverse engineering UFOs. All of that is old news. But I don't want to, every time there's a sighting or something weird, we chalk it up to, oh man, must be the military doing something. In many ways, I feel like we are hyping the military up to a point that they don't deserve. Don't get me wrong, I fully support the military, but we're placing them on this pedestal, and we're almost acting as if they're mightier than what they are, that they're more capable than what they are. You know what I mean? Half of our military equipment is outdated, okay? People are riding around on rusted freaking warships out in the ocean right now. But every time a UFO is sighted, oh, it must be our military. I'm not buying it. Just like with the drones in New Jersey. Oh, no, it must be our military, our government testing something. Sometimes I do believe that's the case. I don't always believe that's the case, though. But another thing, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to keep talking about it, how the drastic shift of the popular belief of aliens being from a distant planet, you know, it's now shifted into more of a spiritual thing. Even on the news, even when they're having these conversations about UFOs, they're not really leaning heavily into, oh, these things are coming from different planets. They're leaning more towards, oh, there's a spiritual aspect at play, or these things are from our Earth, maybe they've always been here. And I'm not here to tell you that that's not the case. I'm just really, I don't know, I'm fascinated by this shift. Because when talking about UFOs and stuff these days, it's like you almost leave out the alien part. It's like we don't even really talk about aliens from another world anymore. Now it's like people have moved on to all of these other theories. And for me, the media, and the way the media has been covering the UFO topic for the last couple of years, and the fact that the media is leaning kind of into the spiritual kind of narrative, that kind of doesn't sit right with me. And I'm not saying that there isn't a spiritual aspect here, and yes, since the beginning of talking about UFOs, there's always been a spiritual conversation surrounding them as well. But when the media is leaning into it, it's like the media bypassed decades of talking about aliens from other planets and talking about all of the various alien species, the reptilians and, you know, the tall whites. They bypassed all of that, and directly they started leaning more towards the spiritual aspect of things. Or the, oh, they're from this world type of, you know, narrative. And that really concerns me, because I'll see the comments below. A lot of people think, oh, these are angels and demons. And I'm really worried that they're doing this for a reason. They're crafting this narrative for a reason, trying to make these UFOs, you know, kind of tie into people's religious beliefs and their spirituality. And there may be I don't know, an evil agenda at play as behind why they are leaning so heavily into that narrative. Like, I don't think the media is leaning into that narrative because the media is really religious and they love Jesus, they love God, they love religion. No, they're leaning into that narrative for a different reason. And the media is only doing what they're told to do by the powers that be, who are, feeding us this tidbit of information about UFOs for their own agenda. So we have to remember that as well. So when you hear all of these spiritual talks about how UFOs are, tied to spirituality and all of these different things, understand that that is a narrative that is being fed to us by the media, but it's being fed to us, or it's being fed to the media by someone else. So them leaning heavily into that side of things should be concerning to everyone, because they're obviously going to try to tie all of this into people's religious beliefs. And I mean, that's kind of scary if you ask me. But you guys can let me know what you think of all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.